Good morning, everyone. It is 10 o'clock, so I will get started. Welcome to the next series in our webinars. Today, I'm going to be looking at engaging employees through a period of change. We felt this was quite topical at the moment as we're seeing and hearing about a number of companies making changes to their operations. My name is Leanne Porter and I am a HR business partner for Clover HR. Hopefully I've muted all your microphones, and do ask that you keep your microphones muted throughout the session, just to help keep the background noise to a minimum. So this is the Clover HR team. We are your trusted people advisors, but also much more, as we do have specialists within the team in recruitment, learning and development, coaching, health and safety, and also CV writing. At the end of today's webinar, I will provide you with my contact details. So if you do have any questions or queries, if you could just hold on to these until the end, that would be great. So let's just look at what we will be covering today. So firstly, I'll cover off what is employee engagement and the importance for employers. Then I'll share some recent statistics with you on employee engagement. We'll also look at some employee behaviours that can be linked to employee engagement. We'll also look at employee engagement during a period of change. And finally, we'll go through the impacts of COVID-19 on employee engagement. So first of all, let's just kick off by understanding what we mean by employee engagement. So employee engagement is about the way employers interact with their employees to improve employee happiness in the workplace. So this can include things such as how employees work with others, their behaviours in the workplace, and their health and well-being. Employee engagement and productivity do go hand in hand. Research by the University of Warwick has actually shown that you can raise productivity by 12% through increasing employees' happiness. So it is definitely something worth focusing on. Engaged employees will work harder, they'll be healthier, and are more loyal as they feel fulfilled within their role and are more motivated to contribute to the business performance. And another point to remember is that it can cost businesses more to replace an individual than to develop them and keep them engaged. A recent report I was reading just before coming on today's webinar was showing that it costs small businesses on average £11,000 per new recruit. This was looking at costs of reviewing a job specification, advertising, going through the selection process, and also onboarding. But another report I was reading from ACAS was suggesting that it costs employees around £30,000 per new recruit, as they had also looked at the costs such as loss of productivity in getting the new employee up to speed, as well as the cost of finding a replacement. So employee engagement is vital for employers to be focused on, and even more so following a period of change, where the business's ongoing effectiveness is largely dependent on the morale of employees and their buy-in to the change initiative. Just some other benefits to employee engagement to go through with you. So improve customer satisfaction and reputation, improved productivity. Again, generally businesses with higher levels of employee engagement are 21% more profitable, according to studies by Gallup. There's better ideas for innovation. You'll see improved staff retention, reduction in absenteeism. In fact, a study by Gallup showed that a highly engaged workplaces saw 41% lower absenteeism rates. Improved efficiencies and also better health and safety performance. So I wanted To share some recent statistics with you on employee engagement, there are a few up on the screen, but I think the key ones for me, so 61% of employees would choose happiness at work over salary. Satisfaction at work is not just about an individual's salary, but the overall benefit and reward package which is available, so it can include things such as flexible working. Another one, so 37% of employees consider recognition as the most important factor of employee engagement. Recognition doesn't have to be big. It can be simple as just saying thank you for getting a task completed on time, or recognising an employee's efforts into a particular task. Managers often see these things and will talk about them to colleagues, but it is equally important to let employees know when they've done a good job. And then just one more. So only 11% of employees feel engaged at work. So businesses should be thinking about how this is affecting their productivity and profitability. Based on this, the majority of the workforce are either viewing their workplace negatively or only doing the bare minimum to make it through the day, with little or no emotional attachment to the business and its goals. So many employers often ask us about these signs relating to employee engagement and how to spot if there is a problem without the need for conducting big surveys and questionnaires, which can take time. There are some telltale signs employers can look out for in an employee's behaviour, a number of which are up on the screen. So for example, an employee who is clock watching. This is someone who will regularly, maybe even every day, start or arrive just on time as per their contract. They will be taking their full entitlements to their breaks and lunch breaks, and will be ready to walk out the door smack bang on their contracted end time. The employee will have no intention of working any additional time in order to complete a job or get something finished off or out the door for that particular day. They are literally just working the hours as per their contract and are very mindful of the time. Another behaviour to spot is static skills. So this would be an employee who is not interested in learning new skills to allow them to support other areas of the business or with colleagues. So an example might be holiday cover, by where the employee is asked to provide cover for a period, but then doesn't actively help to support this area once the cover period has finished. Additionally, it might be an employee who is not willing to upskill in order to improve their own performance. I think I'll just cover off one more rather than going through each one individually. So let's look at resistance to change, given the current climate. Now, it is only natural for all employees to have some resistance to change, as it's just part of our human nature. However, even after going through the change process, if an employee is still resisting change and their reasons seem unjustified, then it's likely they aren't engaged with the business and they may require further action or support. So just on the flip of how to spot when employees are disengaged, how you can spot when employees are engaged, and again, a number of behaviours are up on the screen. So limitless commitment. Engaged employees are very loyal as they feel valued, appreciated, and do enjoy the work that they're doing. You'll see that they have a high work output and are more innovative and creative, which help to drive the business forward. Employees will be aligned with the business goals and are on board with the business vision. Employees are always looking at how to improve themselves through learning and development, as well as seeking ways to improve business processes, and also engaged employees will react positively to change. So there are a number of reasons which can cause low engagement. Below I've highlighted the key ones for employers to look out for. So lack of employee recognition. Employees need constructive criticism as well as praise in order to be more engaged. If you remember when we were looking at the statistics, 37% of employees viewed recognition as one of the most important factors for engagement. The lack of care for employee well-being. Employees want to feel valued, not just in terms of their business contribution, but also their employer has an interest in their well-being. This is vital in the current climate with coronavirus, COVID-19. Employees should regularly be checking on an employee's well-being and not forgetting those that are still on furlough, and particularly when they are returning to work. Lack of training and development opportunities. So employees need to feel in control of their own destiny in terms of both the scope of their role and the opportunities for personal development. Lack of transparency. So this is about keeping promises and being honest with employees to gain trust and integrity. And another reason is the disconnection between co-workers. It is important to remember that workplace relationships can contribute to employee engagement and overall satisfaction. So now moving on to look at the need for engagement during change. Change is constant in most businesses and generally is essential for growth. However, with the recent global pandemic of coronavirus, many businesses are going through unexpected periods of change, and we're seeing a lot of businesses restructuring in order to cope with the imposed changes to their business operations, as well as the effects on the economy and society. Employees can easily be overlooked when the business is trying to focus on how to survive. And many employees will be aware of the impact this is having on businesses and will be worrying or will have fears about their role and potential job losses. Typically, when we find businesses are faced with change, business leaders will focus on the process and therefore can often ignore the human component of change, which is just about steering the employees towards the new vision, transforming the culture, encouraging learning and growth, and also communication. Whatever the reason is behind the change initiative, you will require employees to think, act, and behave differently to align to the new direction. And therefore, it is important to remember that employees are only human and will not automatically adapt to new processes. Engaging employees during uncertain and changing times is not easy. However, if employees don't work proactively to relieve concerns and let employees know that you do value them, then you do risk lowering engagement levels or losing employees altogether. And remember, it is only natural for employees to feel frustrated and to demonstrate some level of resistance during a period of change. So the more your employees understand and accept the need for change, the more positively they respond to the change process. Developing an employee's understanding and their involvement in a change task will help them to positively and purposely go through the process. So the first two here are about giving employees a voice in the change process. So engaging staff during the planning phase, where possible, involve employees early in the change process and establish clear points for employee discussion and input. So an example here, say if you were planning to change a particular system or process, it would be beneficial to gain input from those that actually use the system and will be affected by any changes. They will have thoughts and ideas on a new system that a line manager or business leaders won't be able to identify just purely because they're not in the nitty-gritty of using it every day. Involve employees in changes that affect them. So this is looking to seek employees' input in decisions where you can and factor in their views. Generally here, when businesses are faced with a redundancy situation, just as an example, Meaningful consultation should be used to discuss the proposed changes with affected employees and also to get their input on suitable alternatives to redundancy. One great example, which you may or may not be aware of, is a company who produces matchsticks. They were looking to make redundancies across the business as they needed to reduce their costs. One employee during the consultation process proposed the idea of just having one strip to light the matchstick on the outside of the box rather than the two. So the company went away and looked into it. They identified that making the change would create the cost saving the company were after without the need for making redundancies or affecting the quality of the product to its customers. And you will now see matchstick boxes with just one strip on the outside of the box to light the match rather than the two. So it's just a really good example of how meaningful consultation can be effective and prevent a negative outcome. Developing a culture that embraces an employee voice does help to build open and trusting relationships, which in turn can contribute to the overall business success, but is also vital for establishing a workforce that's happy, productive, and engaged. So moving on to helping your employees manage loss. Change generally means people lose something, and through the change process, employees will lose familiarity with processes and elements of their role that give them confidence and security. You can help employees make a good transition through discussions with them and also training sessions. Stay focused on the reason for the change. So understanding the business arguments for the change will help your employees to stay focused on what needs to be done. And I would also repeat the reason for change message wherever you can and link them to the steps the business is taking to help employees make sense of each stage of the change process. To identify any barriers and resistance to change early on. So here, line managers should be able to identify any attitudes or behaviours that need to change. And if you do find any employees that are creating negative attitudes about the change process, I would just meet with them directly to work through and discuss their issues. Define the tasks well. So break down the change into smaller initiatives that are easy for employees to follow and understand. Knowing what stage they're at in the change process will build their confidence and sense of security. So here it might be about sharing a project plan if you have one in place. Employees can then expect certain milestones of the project to be completed at certain times, and will also help effective employees to mentally prepare for the change. And try to build a culture of continuous improvement. So businesses should always be looking for ways to improve processes and performance, and invite employees to share their ideas and observations for improvement. And again, this is going back to giving employees a voice and giving employees an opportunity to communicate their views, to influence matters that affect them at work. And then just some other useful tips on engaging employees through a period of change, which I thought would be useful to share with you today. So encourage self-care amongst employees. So during times of stress, you want to be encouraging employees to prioritise their own mental health and wellness. Self-care will be different for each individual, but you might look and encourage a good work-life balance for employees, or maybe even implementing an employee assistance programme, which would be able to provide over-the-phone counselling and support for employees where required. Seek employee feedback. Engaging employees during times of transition and change can be difficult, but it is essential for employees to continuously monitor levels of engagement and gather employee feedback to see how improvements could be made in the future, and equally what went well during the change. Give frequent recognition. There's no better way to let people know you value them by giving them frequent recognition. And during sensitive transition times, providing steady, empathetic employee recognition is more important than ever. And also praise publicly. So here, employers could look at setting up a recognition program that allows employees to easily praise each other for a job well done. Just an example off the top of my head, there is a kudos function on LinkedIn, but I have also seen this mirrored in HR software programs. Or employers could look to engage employees by giving them access to, say, like a company-wide newsfeed, which can showcase recent recognitions which have been sent across the business. So moving on to look at how you can retain key employees through a period of change. I think we all know that losing key employees during a change process is one of the biggest risks for businesses in managing change, but there are things employers can do to help minimise this impact. So first of all, target key staff and not just your star performers. So key employees are not necessarily the star performers. Business needs a balanced range of skills and knowledge to run effectively. You'll need to think about what skills are going to be important in your business. And I would suggest you identify employees in each area of your business who work effectively and have the skills and expertise that your business will need in the future. And consider tailored incentives. Consider tailored incentives to retain key employees. So once you've identified the employees who will play an important role in the business's future, identify the needs, interests and aspirations of key employees and consider offering incentives that match their goals. Sorry, just bear with me a sec. Oh, I'm losing my voice. So incentives don't necessarily have to be financial. They simply need to be well matched to the needs of the business and its key team members. There's some examples you can consider are things such as promotion opportunities, leave entitlements that help team members to manage particular demands in their personal lives, flexible working arrangements, and training and development opportunities for employees. By taking steps to meet the particular needs of the team members, businesses will be able to demonstrate its commitment to supporting key employees through the change process. So let's move on to have a look at the focus COVID-19 has had on employee engagement. I think it's clear from what we're hearing on the news with the economy, we are now in recession, and most days we're hearing of companies either losing or making significant job cuts, which is making the number one thing on the minds of most employees today their personal financial security. Employees are worried about their health. I do apologise, I've got a tickle that's come in my throat and now it won't leave me. So employees are worried about their health, but above that they're worried about their jobs, the viability of the company they're working for, and their ability to take care of their children, families, and also their parents. Communicating with employees and providing business updates where possible. It's important as ever if you want to keep employees engaged. Even if you foresee no changes in the coming months, employees will want to know what's going on and the future plans of the business, particularly during uncertain times, and it's about providing transparency. An employee's workplace environment is generally an area which employers take for granted in regards to employee engagement, and will generally look at things such as space, room temperature and lighting. However, this has been heightened with the additional health and safety measures imposed on businesses to secure the health and well-being of employees whilst working in the current pandemic. A vital part of employee engagement is for employees to feel safe whilst at work and in their working environment. In the current situation with COVID-19, it's vital for employers to ensure employees feel safe whilst at work, so conducting risk assessments, communicating these, and also taking extra precautions where necessary to ensure employees' well-being. And also working from home has worked well for many employees as part of this pandemic. After the initial disruption of getting everyone that can work from home, 80% of employees are now seeking for this to continue on a regular basis as we start to get back to some kind of normal. So allowing employees to work flexibly at home gives them a feeling of empowerment and focus, as well as helping many families create a work-life balance. Also, most people working from home during the coronavirus lockdown say it has made them more productive, but it is essential for employers to talk to all employees about returning to the office and working from home, just to understand which is the best option for both parties. So to summarise what we have covered off this morning, ensure employees feel appreciated. Nobody likes the uncertainty that comes with a period of change. However, along with the tips and guidance in this session, some appreciation does go a long way. Engagement is as much down to the small everyday interactions as it is important to recognise a job well done. Allow employees to have a voice and have meaningful consultation during periods of change. Communicate throughout the process with employees and keep them updated on progress. Implement initiatives to support employees through a difficult time. Gain feedback for future change programs. And remember, employees who are engaged are likely to stay employed longer as they feel valued, appreciated, and enjoy the work they are doing. And that's it for today's session. Thank you for attending and your attention. I do hope you found it useful, and I do apologise for my tickly cough in the middle of it. Do let me know if you have any feedback or comments, or if there's anything you'd like to see in future webinars. Do let me know, and we will try to accommodate this where we can. We will be posting this webinar on our website and also our YouTube channel, so feel free to share with others. As I said at the beginning, I would share my contact details with you. So my email address, mobile phone number are up on the screen. So if you did have any questions or queries, please feel free to get in touch. Just before you go, I wanted to draw your attention to other recent webinars which we have run and are available on our website. The link is at the bottom of the screen. And also we have a number of upcoming webinars for the rest of the month, which are up on the screen. So if there are any you are interested in or would like to register for, then just drop me an email and I can get the relevant links sent over to you. And finally, just before I go, at the end of the session, a very quick survey will appear on your screen, and I would be very grateful if you could take the time to complete it for our feedback and just so we can make improvements to how we deliver our webinars. I do appreciate your time and support in completing this for us. And that is it for today's session. Thank you again for listening, and I look forward to seeing you again on future webinars.